Hey guys, Alpha Fox, Alpha from Alpha Animations here. We're going to be continuing with the next step. One of my friends who, he already knows how to do all this, but anyway, he has requested that I do the head next, so I'm going to do that. So we're going to extrude this, pull it up 0.8 I believe. Oh well, if it's wrong we can fix it in a minute. And then we're going to tab out of edit mode, shift add, cube for the head. By the way, when I said shift add I just meant shift A, because yeah, that'll add an object. Well, that bone doesn't actually need to be that tall, it could be any height, but I just like it like that for the moment. I also had a comment on the last video that it wasn't very clearly explained. So they were saying that they were having trouble with the UV mapping. Well, you don't actually unwrap it. So on your object you have to tab into edit mode because it doesn't work in object mode. I don't know why, but it's just how Blender's designed. So yeah, and they were asking about unwrapping it. Now, I'm not sure completely what that is, but I think what you do is you mark a whole bunch of seams and then you unwrap it. Well, when you mark seams, what it does is it divides the cube down each of those lines. And we don't want to do that because our cube, if you don't mark seams, it automatically assumes that every single one of these edges, if we go into edge mode, every single one of them is a seam. But if you mark certain ones as seams, then it's going to assume that all of the ones that aren't marked are not seams, and therefore everything won't be divided, and we'll have to mark some more seams to try and cut it apart. So I don't actually unwrap it, I just, if you select everything, then it knows that you want to edit the textures for all of the stuff you have selected. Edit the UV mapping for it. So then, when you open up this, it automatically generates a UV map. Now, this is the same automatically generated UV map that gets used. Oh, great. Oh, well, I didn't make a texture. But when you have a texture assigned and you have it set to image or movie, in the mapping, when it says generated, this is what it's going to generate. So you've then got to change it to UV map because you're going to want to edit your UV map. Now, sometimes all of them will appear in a really small dot, like size 0, and it'll be scale to 0, and it'll be down in this corner here. So what you do to fix that is you push, you got to select them all. Oh, it normally works. Well, when you get a new one of those and you have a dot in the corner, you push E to extrude and all of them will just pop up out into the middle like that. I'm also not sure why that happens, but I don't know. It's always worked for me, so if you need to fix it, that's how you fix it. Perhaps it only works when they're naturally generated that way. Perhaps that's why I couldn't do it just then. Yeah, Blender's a bit confusing. I don't understand it all. I just know what to do and how to do it. Oh, that's not right. We want to map this down to be more like, we'll go 2 pixels forward. Oh, now everything's upside down. Rotate. Yeah, the generated thing, it's not very intelligent. It's not going to get anything right. Okay, so that's the back one. We want to leave that as that. That's the front one. map it to the front, side to this side, side to that side. You should all have done this. Oh, and that snapping to pixels I'm just doing that by holding control, which you should all probably know. But what control does is it temporarily enables this magnetic mode, which is snap during transformation, and you can change the snap type, so it'll snap to vertexes, edges, faces, or volume, which you can also do the same over here, which it'll only snap to vertexes though. And I normally only use the snap to vertexes and the increments, because those are probably the two most useful, because you're normally not going to be trying to snap to volume or face or edges. You'll normally just have like a plane or something, and you'll normally just want one vertex to snap to another. Okay. Hang on, I don't want to map these there, I want to map that one there, and that one there. Just map multiple at the same time, because it's normally easier. Okay, that sorts out UV mapping. Now, I suppose we should finish off the texture which we started. So we'll start by naming it. Oh, and for those of you who are wondering, Steven's the Steve for Pocket Edition. I don't know why I chose that, because this isn't really Pocket Edition, but anyway, we're making a Steven rig. For no apparent reason. Oh, I like to keep my shading for my texture at like 1.5, and then you kind of get a bit of a glow, but not too much. Now, you don't need to open up a new image when you're doing this. You just want to use the one that's already there by using the drop down over there, because some rigs I've tried using have like 100 of the same image, and the program, what's it called? Mindways. Yeah, Mindways is particularly bad at it. They will give you tons and tons. But anyway, we want to turn off mipmap, which uses an auto-generated map, and interpopulation, because interpopulation means that when two pixels are next to each other, it'll generate another pixel in the middle, which is which shares the color of both of them, and then you don't get that pixelated Minecraft effect. And you want to set your filter to box and turn it down to 0, because this also has to do with interpopulation. You don't want to tick the minimum filter, like I've tried using it but it doesn't work. It's actually worse than just putting it to a really low number. So I think we've got all of those correct, and then you can just go through on all of the others, drop down, use the same material. The only time you wouldn't use the same material is if you needed, for example, his eyes to be glowing more, but then again you normally have your own separate material for the eyes anyway. Okay, we seem to have the material on all of them. 6 users, yep, and we've got 6 body parts, so it must be correct. Now we'll just control parent this, again with empty groups, so that we can go in here and clear out all these groups and it won't really matter. Now, I haven't actually tried this before, but if we tab into edit mode, add a new group, rename it head, and assign everything. Now, this weight is the same weight you have in edit mode, so I think we might have just saved ourselves weight painting. All we've got to do is name the bone the same thing. I wonder what the shortcut for getting into pose mode is. Like, I know you go tab to get into edit mode, but I wonder what you do to get into pose mode. So anyway, head. So if any of you guys know, that would be great to know, because yeah, I've been looking for the shortcut for ages, but yeah, I've never found it. Cool. Yep, we just saved ourselves weight painting. Now, okay, in this episode we're going to do just a regular weight paint mouth, but I might also do a non-weight paint one later, like in another episode. I don't know, like 2.5 or something. Yeah, because I had a 1.5 because even though I decided I was going to do it off camera, I changed my mind. Which, I don't know, it's not great to do that all the time, but dang it. Oh yeah, that's real brilliant. Okay, so if you're following along with this, you're probably going to want to turn off this so that you won't end up selecting everything at the back. Yeah, when I'm following along with tutorials, I try and let them stay about a step or two ahead so that if they make a mistake, then I can just come up. There. Wait for them to get ahead and then fix it. And then just use their solution. But yeah, now we're just going to limited dissolve this into one face because we're going to loop it out to the sides, but there isn't enough edges in the center to match up with all the edges there. So now we're just going to use Control R to loop cut it, and we want to loop cut 5 times across the top because we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across there, and we want to loop cut twice across the sides because again 1, 2 there. Now you should be able to select the circle of this mesh and hit the select and edge loop. Nope, it's not going to do it. Oh well, it was worth a shot. So in that case you'll just have to select them manually, which is going to take a while, but anyway. There's probably a faster way to do it, but it just failed, so we'll find it later. Or, that is, I might find it later and tell you guys. Or one of you will tell me. Okay, almost done. And then we can just push W, and in here there will be a bridge edge loops. And what that essentially does is create faces. However, it's going to mess up our UV mapping because see all that brown bit? That's from his hair. So if we go back into our UV image editor, you see it's done this horrid thing and put all those over there. So we're just going to select those ones there. We're going to pull them down below the mouth, rotate them 90 degrees. Now pull them across so they're roughly there, and then just push Shift S to snap them to the pixels, and then that'll put them all in the right places. Now we can just if you've seen creepersweepers, then this is probably pretty much the same stuff he did, but yeah, I guess it never hurts to have two of the same tutorial. And even though I could do this off camera, I don't know, I guess you guys still might want to watch it or something. I know I prefer to watch stuff on camera rather than just get told it happened. Now I'm not exactly sure where we want to put our mouth, but I guess this one depends on your personal preference. Like, I guess I'm going to make it to the back of his back because I just am, and I made his mouth about half a pixel thick. Oh shoot. And then you'll have to go in select these ones because I forgot that it was going to scale them as well. And then we can just scale them back down along the x-axis. And once they're about pretty close to where we want them, we can just selection to grid, and then we should get something. Yeah, that's not right, because we'll also need to scale the rest of the faces. Bother. Okay. I'm just going to go back and do the whole mouth again. Talk about efficiency. Extrude. Scale. We'll scale it to about on the X we can scale it to about 1.8. Yeah, that seems reasonable to me. Scale on the Y-axis. No, not the Y, the Z. There. I always mix up the Y and the Z axes because in UV editing, your Z axis is your Y axis, which is kind of confusing. If that doesn't make sense to you, then don't bother, because I don't want to confuse you as well. So yeah, now we do have a working mouth, and we can go ahead and weight paint it. But first we're going to need some bones. At the moment, we'll just go into side 3, I guess. Put the head there. We're going to need to change the parenting though, because it's not parented to the head.
Did you go your dog's one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's in the breakfast and finish that off.
And this one would be... Sorry, I got distracted. Someone came and asked me if I'd been to work this morning, because it's the morning at the moment over here. Let's see. I like to use compass directions for them, so yeah, we're going to use compass directions, because for me that seems pretty simple, because we can just go north, north, northeast, northwest, and then southwest. Yeah. That'll be a good location. No, we don't actually want it sticking out, do we? We want it to be more like that. Then we'll duplicate it, rotate around Y. Now the trouble with doing that is it's going to give the bone a roll. You want to get rid of that, because if you start weight painting stuff with a roll and then using constraints on it, stuff will just mess up. So you always want to check that none of your bones have rolls. So this one's got a roll, so I got to get rid of that. That one does too. And yep, all the rest seem... No, that one's not fine. Of course that one's not. Neither is that one. Or that one. Okay. That should have fixed it all. I'm not sure why we're getting all those lines on the mouth, but we can probably fix it later. It'll probably be that the UV mapping's a bit messed up, because in Blender we're getting a whole lot of interpopulation here when there probably won't be any in the rendered. Oh, see, it's fine in the rendered. Okay. Now let's see. Just duplicate those. Yep, they're in the right places. And this one can be southeast and northeast. Blender doesn't actually work with compass directions, so I can't flip names with it, but it's still a whole lot better than trying to use a different naming system. I don't know, I just like this naming system. Cool. Now just change that one to west. West. And we have all of our bones. I'm not going to do bone shapes now because I'll do that in the episode when I start modifying other stuff. Start modifying the armature, like giving it constraints such as IK and stuff. But yeah. Now, I'm not going to do the weight painting now because I gotta go, but yeah, we'll get to that in, I don't know. Yeah, we'll do that in 2.25, and then we can do a lattice in 2.5, and if there's anything else, like eyes for example, we could do that in 2.75. Yeah, I have an interesting naming system for practically everything. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed. See you next time.